So as I said, today's webinar is really on your product's passport to the world of commerce. And actually, I was on in a conference with the gentleman we're going to have on very, very shortly. And you know, there was so much information and so much information I didn't know that I thought that'd be absolutely vital for our sellers to get that. And that's where that came from. So what are we going to talk about? Who is GS1? You know, what the product identifiers are, you're managing product data, common problems when listing products, and then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So feel free to put your questions through. We will have the chat function live, but please put any details through as you go through, and we'll see what we can do as we go. Ideally, we'll probably leave most of the questions until the end. So my name's Andy Hooper. I'm your host today. I'm the CEO here, Global E-Commerce Experts, and this is part of our successful expansion into the EU webinar series. Thank you very much for giving up your valuable time. There is an expanders group, Facebook group. If you want to put some comments in there, that goes straight to us as we're doing these live #expanders series. Now, we've successfully expanded over 2,000 sellers into the EU marketplace, and I've been working in e-commerce for over 10 years now. So we've got a wealth of experience and know exactly what we're talking about when it comes to expanding sellers directly into the EU. So that's enough about me. So Pradip, let me just unmute you, and hopefully we'll be able to see you and hear you. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hopefully everybody can hear me loud and clear.
Perfect. We've got you. Yes. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. And thank you for giving up your time to listen to this. I'm really excited to present this to you guys.
Fantastic. So Pradip, just give us a little bit about you. I mean, we've got your slide there, but just a bit about you, you know, a bit about your background and you know, in sort of, you know, in a minute or two.
Sure. So my name is, as Andy said, is Pradip Khagram. I work for GS1 in the UK, but my background is really e-commerce. So I started working for Amazon back in 2001, and that was the early days of Amazon in the UK. They just launched a consumer electronics business, and I was one of the senior buyers who joined them at that time. Built great relationships with a number of big consumer brands, including the likes of Sony, Panasonic, Canon, Nikon, all these camera manufacturers and all of that. And 10 years later, when I left, it was £1 billion business. So that just goes to show how quickly Amazon can scale up in any category they want to.
Yeah.
I then left Amazon and joined a little retailer called Tesco, the largest supermarket in the UK, because they had visions of launching a marketplace similar to Amazon. Worked there for 5 years, built up a business that was £100 million in 5 years. And it was actually the only profitable business that Tesco had, online business that Tesco had. They make money in the supermarkets, but online they didn't make any money. We had a new CEO come in, we had a big financial scandal, and he decided that he wanted to focus on the shops itself. So he disbanded the team. And from there, I joined GS1.
Fantastic. Which is where you are now. So I'm just going to go for another couple of slides, and then Pradip, then it's going to be over to you. So this forms part of our successful expansion into the EU program, really. You know, this, whilst, you know, this isn't necessarily part of what we would traditionally say is part of an expansion series, this is absolutely vital for you to get right, and is absolutely key, nuts and bolts, you know, everything you need to know about making sure you've got the right coding on your products. So, you know, where does it fit in our expansion series? Well, probably right at the beginning. It's something you need to make sure you've got right at the beginning of your expansion before you even start to expand. So with that, I'm going to hand over to you, Pradip, and give me a shout when you want to change the slide, and I'll just do the work from here.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Okay, so who's GS1? Most people don't know who GS1 is. And, you know, when I joined GS1, I was asked by a number of people, who am I working for? And I said GS1, and it didn't mean anything to them. But believe it or not, GS1's quite a big organization. So we're 115 local member organizations. We're actually a federation, so each country operates independently. There are over 2 million companies using GS1 standards, and we'll go through some of these a bit later on. There are over 100 million products that carry a GS1 barcode, and this is where people know us from. the barcodes that you see on packaging. So this is where we know. Over 6 billion GS1 barcodes are scanned every day. GS1 UK is a not-for-profit international standards organization here to help any business, large or small, who make or distribute or sell products. Many of you will be members. When you join GS1 UK or anywhere else globally, you'll be part of a community of over 2 million businesses globally and over 40,000 in the UK, who all reap the benefits of standardizing their supply chain by using GS1 global standards. Run by our members to trade easily between companies and countries. We have over 40 years experience of helping members trade together with common working practices, standards for the retail industry. Standards is how you collect, store and share data with your supply chain. E-commerce is shifting the focus of our standards. B2B is becoming B2C. Customers are interacting with products now. Next slide, please, Andy. So just a couple of fun facts, or one fun fact here. First of all, the GS1 vision, which is we believe in the power of standards to transform the way we work and live. Now, some people won't know this, but there are actually more barcode beeps than Google searches in a day. So this is through globally in all the supermarkets and all the convenience stores and everything, which is a POS system. Next slide, please. So what are our standards? So there are 4 main standards that we have. One is to identify products. So globally unique identification keys. These are the numbers that you associate with your product. And this is why we call it a passport for trading globally, because that number will actually stay with your product. So it's really, really important. The next one is to capture it. So automatic data capture using barcodes or EPCs or RFIDs as well. You share this, so that's the third one. Exchange of business critical information. A lot of people won't know, but EDI is a GS1 standard. So is EPCIS and business vocabulary as well. And then finally, streamlining business processes, so traceability, Internet of Things, and fighting illicit trade. And then, there's some of the standards that we've used, particularly in the EU around cigarettes and things like that as well. Next slide, please, Andy. So the key industries that we serve, GS1 standards are used in everyday life, from retail to marketplaces, healthcare to transport and logistics and technical industries around the world. They're used in the trading and movement of goods in consumer product groups, fresh foods, apparel, and general merchandise. And in healthcare is also very, very important because it identifies the patient, the location, the medicines that are administered to the patient and all of that. So we work very, very closely with the NHS in the UK. Next slide, please. And the one after. So what's in a barcode? So most of you will know that there are loads of black lines generally in a barcode. But what does that signify? So the first 3 digits are really the country code. So 501 is a UK code. So that's the first 3. The next ones identify what we call a GCP, which is your company identifier. So this brand owners and manufacturers become members through their local GS1, and they'll give you a company prefix. This company prefix identifies that it is you. And then each number after that, it identifies the product itself, which is traceable back to your company via GS1 database. We share this GCP file with Amazon on a daily basis, and this is on a global basis. And Amazon now cross-check this for all new listings that go on to Amazon globally. So it's really important if you're listing new products that they are identified to your brand, because otherwise there are some issues that arise in the Amazon listing process that we'll go through later, but it could get rejected and you obviously won't be able to list your products there. Next slide, please, Andy. So if you want to trade online, and as I said, is eBay, Amazon, Google. Google's a very important one as well, because they're at least at the top of their rankings, they only surface goods that have got a barcode on it or a GTIN on it. So it's really important. But there are many, many others marketplaces globally, as you can see, you know, Alibaba, Allegro, Frugo, OnBuy, Walmart. They all use these identifiers. Search engines and marketplaces requesting GTINs in the same way that, you know, John Lewis in the UK or Tesco would as well. Mandating a GS1 GTIN is the only way for retailers to avoid clashes in their system, and more are mandating it each year. Next slide, please, Andy. So the barcode is like a passport number for the product. It's a visual representation of the number that sits underneath it, which is called the GTIN, also known as the EAN or UPC. You only require one product identifier, an EAN or a UPC, and not both. And this is really important to note. UPC is used in the US and in America. EAN is more of a European one, but you don't need both to trade in Europe or USA or vice versa. You just need one number. GS1 uses a global standard to allocate GTINs, meaning once a product is barcoded, it can be sold via any retailer and any country without the need to relabel to satisfy each retailer or country requirements. Next slide, please, Andy. So what's the difference between an EAN, a UPC, and a GTIN? So UPC and a 12-digit GTIN does the same job as an EAN barcode and a 13-digit GTIN. The UPC originated in the US, but is part of the global GS1 system. When a 13-digit number is required, you can add a 0 to the front of your 12-digit GTIN. EANs or GTIN 13s are both accepted on the Amazon US platform and any retailer or marketplace globally. ISBNs are also from our systems, but managed by a different organization. These are used to identify books and specific audio media. Next slide, please, Andy. So what do marketplaces do with a barcode? It reduces duplicate listings for marketplaces, and more, as you will know, if you trade on Amazon, they just want a single listing for customer experience, right? So they want customers to be able to find the product and compare prices from different sellers. So, you know, they create a single listing for that. So that reduces it. Also reduces counterfeit products. And that's becoming important when you go to list, as I said, because Amazon are now checking whether the brand is the owner of the product, the brand is the owner of the listing. So it's really important, and it reduces counterfeit products. Also reduces listings with low or no GMV on it as well, because that just creates noise. Benefits to you online: improves customer experience, increases relevance of search, also easier product discovery, reduces unfair competition, and also increases sales. And Google Shopping, as I mentioned earlier, need a GTIN for it to come up on their Google search, Google Shopping search. Next slide, please, Andy. So when do you need to start thinking about a barcode? So, you know, you need to start thinking about barcodes at the point of creating your packaging, really. You will need to supply the number to the manufacturer designer, so they can add it to the packaging design. Again, the most common use is the GS1 EAN 13 in the UK or the UPC in the US. If you do not use packaging on your product, you will still need to have a GTIN to be able to list online. It needs to be entered into the field for the identifier, again, sometimes quoted as an EAN or UPC, depending on the marketplace or the retailer. It can take a few days for your Amazon account to be verified, so make sure you get your GTINs whilst this is being done to avoid additional delays to your products. Next slide, please, Andy. So how many GTINs do you need? The GTINs needed to be assigned to the products at the lowest variation level, sometimes called a SKU or a child SKU. So each variant needs to have a unique number. So each size, color, fragrance, flavor, for example. So let's take an example of a t-shirt. But that t-shirt comes in 3 sizes, small, medium, large, and 3 colors, blue, pink, and purple. You need to identify 9 product variations. So 3 sizes times 3 colors times 3 styles equals 27 barcodes. They also come in 3 styles, you need 27 barcodes. And if you then put 3 packages on that, that's 81 barcodes. So all of a sudden you need a lot of barcodes there, or a lot of GTINs as we call them. So, you know, it's good to work out how many you need up front. Really important. Next slide, please, Andy. So where do you get a barcode from? So as I said to you right at the beginning, you need to become a GS1 member, a member of a GS1 organization. And there are 115 of us around the world. So usually one in your local country. We always encourage you to join the local organization for the country that you're based in, because then you get support in your own language, as well as, you know, in local time as well. If you're based in the UK, your local MO is going to be GS1 UK, and our membership starts as low as £119 per year. If you have plans to grow your business to more than one retailer, then using the same identifier for all your channels will make your life a lot easier. No need to relabel, ring fence stock, or look up lists for identifiers to create reports. In addition, it allows search engines to combine product information, offers, and reviews with confidence, and therefore enable your customers to find and ultimately buy the product with the best buying experience. Next slide, please, Andy. So benefits of becoming a GS1 membership. So as I mentioned, you get free telephone and online support when you need it, support from your local marketplace experts. And, you know, most of the MOs are beginning to get a marketplace team in place. In the UK, we have 3 in our team who are more than happy to help with any sort of Amazon, eBay, listing queries, or any questions you have around GTINs and barcodes. You can manage your numbers, product data, and create barcodes online. Access to our community partner network as well, and we have a wide range of them. We're able to help and advise you as well. You keep up to date with key trends and legislation, access to GS1 UK data services as well. Okay, so managing your your product data. The challenge of consistency. In commerce, it's not exactly easy to keep your product information consistent. Your product data is displayed in lots of places across the web. Your own website, other retailers' sites, marketplaces, search engines, ad networks, and other digital channels like social. All of these websites ask for information that's somewhat specific to their business and use, be it what attributes they're asking for or the format. So it's understandable why consumers are finding it so difficult to trust the information they find about products online. Next slide, please, Andy. I'm going to run through an example of a ladies' boot here. So this is a ladies' boot called Persia Black, and the manufacturer or the brand owner is a company called GTIN in the UK. And as you can see, their product title is Persia Black. If you go to the next slide. They also have a store at Amazon, and at Amazon, they call it a GTIN Women's Persia Boot. So a totally different product title to what they've got on their own website. They also then sell it on eBay. And on eBay, it's called a GTIN Ladies Persia Buckle Strap or Fur Trim Ankle Boot in black. So totally different again. And finally, they have a concession in a department store in Selfridges. And in there, they call it GTIN Persia Full Fur Trim Ankle Boots. So again, very different. This is even showing it as being out of stock too. So we've seen 4 different versions of the same product, and the data has all come directly from the brand. Are any of them wrong? No. Do they still describe the same product? Yes. But does the customer know that? That's the important thing. Does the customer know that? Or are you confusing the customer? Next slide, please. So how do you identify your products? This is a little bit UK centric, but most of the member organizations will have a version of this. So to avoid this as much as possible, create one set of attributes for your product in your GS1 account and use your GS1 account as a base for your product data. This will then be used to power the information retailers and marketplaces will see in our global database. This is what you will see in your member account on GS1 UK website. It's called My Number Bank. And here you manage all your GTINs and the core attributes that goes with them. You get to it by clicking on the member login button on the top right hand of the page. Here you can also download the barcode image to pass on to packaging designers. But most of these will have the capability already, and you will need to just give them the GTIN number. This area can become easy to manage and update database for you to give to anyone else that needs the product data too by using the download feature. Or small businesses starting out can easily function as your PIM, product information system. Next slide, please, Andy. So the basic attributes of a product. So you've got your GTIN, that's your barcode or your UPC or EAN, and the name of the product. And here we've got an example of peanut butter made by Tesco. So your name, your brand, which is really important. You might have a sub-brand like Tesco's got here of everyday value. So you can put that in. A product description, a web link to the URL for the image. If you've got an internal manufacturer part number, then you can put that, or an internal SKU number as well. So you can use those attributes to create your PIM or your data set, as I said earlier. Next slide, please, Andy. Okay, so filling in these values, here's the best practice of how to complete each of these fields. They should be customer facing and in as much detail as possible. Name, industry average is around 47.5 characters, which is typically around 8 words. However, string length isn't as important as ensuring you've got the correct keywords included. eBay allow 80 and Amazon 200, so these can be quite detailed. Product descriptions are another key opportunity to help find your product through search. We'd recommend you use the whole box number bank. Industry average is around 552 characters or 80 to 90 words. Next slide, please, Andy. So how to check your numbers? So we have a website where you can enter a barcode and check which company has that prefix license to it. So if you remember earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that when you become a member, we assign you a GCP, which identifies your brand or your company, and this is where you can go and check it. As I also mentioned, GS1 share a daily file with Amazon. Amazon check that the barcode sellers are numbers that are licensed to them. So really, really important. And GetView is free and used by Amazon, and members of public and you as sellers can go and use that as well if you want to understand who owns a barcode on a product. And here's a link to it. I'm sure you get this presentation, so the link is there for you to go and check that as well, the ownership of the product. Next slide, please, Andy. Okay, so are your numbers registered to your brand? It's really important that the numbers belong to you. See the example in the slide that shows how your company reputation will be damaged if it's associated with the wrong company. So here you can see an example where a craft brewer, Sandows, became a GS1 member after they'd sourced some numbers from a reseller, okay? And the numbers they'd sourced originally actually belonged to a gun company in the USA. So, brand reputation is really important, and this didn't do their brand any good at all. So when they came to us, they asked us to check this, and when we did this for them, it was a real surprise to them. So it's really important. And if you guys have sourced any numbers elsewhere, you can easily go into the Gap Year tool and check the company owner for those barcodes as well. Next slide, please. And this is what Amazon can see. So this needs to be the same as what you register on Amazon. And here's an example, and there's a little video of the founder telling us about the challenges that he had on YouTube that you can go and have a look as well. Okay, so the next section, we just give you 2 or 3 common issues that we face and that you know, a lot of the sellers on Amazon come to us when they want to list a product on Amazon itself. So the first one is where Amazon use different terminology to what GS1 use. So if you're listing a product on Amazon, where it says product ID, you put in your number, but you need to choose, if it's a 13-digit number that you're using, you need to choose EAN on the drop-down menu rather than the GTIN, because Amazon don't recognize a GTIN. So you will automatically get an error. And this is where Amazon don't make it clear as to what the error is, and you come to GS1. So we're trying to help our members. So use either EAN for the 13 digits or UPC for the 12 digits. Amazon use the 14 digits for the parcel itself, so the outer packaging. So this is the most common one that we see. Next slide, please, Andy. If the brand is different to the company details you have given to Amazon or GS1, you need to provide with Amazon with a proof of connection between the seller and the brand. So things like trademark certificates, invoices to show you bought the stock from the brand, or a letter of authorization to show you're allowed to sell that brand. As a lot of you will become more and more aware, Amazon are really you know, going down this route to check whether you're allowed to sell those products if it's branded products. So it's important when you become a GS1 member that your company name also reflects the brand that you are trying to sell on Amazon. So really important. And then the final one here is where the product already exists. So product could already have been listed using most of the same details. So Amazon will flag this as a possible match. This is to maintain the one product page per products and remove duplicates. As I said to you, you know, Amazon are really keen on this because they want a single data page. So you'll need to check if that is the case. There have been instances where a listing has been hijacked by a different seller. If this is the case, you should escalate this to Amazon seller support. Okay, thank you very much for your time, for listening. Hopefully, you know, it's been an eye-opener for some of you. I know when we present this to Amazon sellers or even to Amazon, you know, this is a lot of this is quite new to them. So hopefully you found it useful. Happy to field any questions.
Yeah, fantastic, Pradip. That has been amazing. Thank you very much. There's a huge amount of content and information there. I've got a couple of questions. So if anyone's got any questions, please start firing those away, and I'll start with mine and we'll see what we get to. But I think it was really, really clear. You know, I think the bottom line is that you basically need a GTIN number, bottom line, and it needs to be registered to your brand, bottom line. And as long as that all matches, you're good to go. Now, what I want to know is what is the difference between a GTIN, an EAN, a UPC? Like, what is the fundamental difference between them?
So, Andy, we at GS1, the global identifier is called a GTIN, but GTIN is either an EAN or a UPC. Okay, so when GS1 started, you know, 40 years ago, the Americans went down the route of a UPC, which is a universal product code. And then there was a different one within Europe, which is the EAN, which is European identifier, right? So between them two, it's called a GTIN. But obviously Amazon confuse it by, you know, having the outer packaging as a GTIN. But GTIN is that, EAN is commonly used in Europe, and a UPC in America, but it's the same number. And
okay,
if you
so
need
you have
to
the
list
same
it,
number across all of them.
correct, and you only need one of them, right? So you don't need a different identifier for the US. We get a lot of European sellers who come to us and say, I want to start trading in America, and they're asking me for a UPC. Can I have a UPC? You don't need that, because I think it was a few years ago when it became a common standard and all companies needed to accept either code.
Okay, well, I mean, so that's just unlocked 5 years of hurt right there. Because I remember when we first started out many, many years ago, and then Amazon then started asking for these GTINs, and we had these EAN numbers that we got from GS1. And basically we couldn't work out why exactly as you put on your most commonly answered question, you know, we couldn't work out why our GTIN number wouldn't fit into the AN or UPC or whatever it was. Anyway, we just put it in and it worked, and we soon worked it out. But it's not clear at all, is it? You'd think Amazon would sort that by now.
And then, you know, we work very closely with them. We recently did a European-wide, you know, webinar with them where we explained this. So we're working with Amazon to try and improve that. We've been through all the help pages on Amazon. As you know, it's a big juggernaut, right? And it takes a long, long time for them to change that.
It certainly does. Yeah, quite right. Okay, fantastic. But I've not had any questions come in. So let's just talk about where people can get in contact with you should they need to.
Okay, so you can see my email address at the bottom of the slide here. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please feel free to email me or route them through Andy, and I'm sure Andy will reach me as well.
Of course.
I'm more than happy to help answer any questions you have. If I don't have the answers, you know, we've got industry experts within the business, and we have standards people within the business, so we can go and get you the answer. Also happy to help with any Amazon or eBay queries that you may have, you know, because we've sort of trying to build a database of knowledge of common issues that some of our sellers have, and we can help sellers with that. Because if you are Amazon sellers, you will recognize that sometimes it takes a long time to get an answer out of them.
Yeah, that's definitely a common problem. I mean, we have one big, you know, getting people even signed up is actually really tough when they're expanding from Europe. So, you know, we managed to get most people unlocked, which is amazing. But actually, this might be another key area that where sellers are getting confused between a UPC, AN, and everything else. So that's great. Yeah. So hopefully that'll solve some of that.
And a misconception is also, you know, for a lot of sellers is they need to become a member of the local organization. So if they're a US company, they need to, you know, become a member of the UK when they want to trade in UK, Germany, and all of that. No, you only need one single membership. So, you know, it's important to know that as well.
Fantastic. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you very much for giving up your valuable time. I think we've covered all of those. So thank you very much. If you've got any questions, then please get in contact with us. That'd be amazing. You've obviously got Pradip's information already with GS1. If you need to get in contact with us, then obviously please do through your usual account handler, whether that be our warehouse or VAT or our account management, whatever that happens to be. Get in contact through the usual contact, and we can field those questions for you. Obviously, you've got our phone number and you've got our usual social channels you can hear us from. So thank you very much, everyone. Pradip, thank you very much for giving up your valuable time.
My pleasure.
Amazing. And we'll say thank you to everyone for giving up their valuable time. I know it's precious, and we'll see you on the next successful expansion webinar next Wednesday. Thank you very much. Thanks, Pradip.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.